States. She is, though, a native of Brazil. She has both Brazilian and U.S. citizenship. But she's been in the U.S. for more than 30 years, and she has a family. She has a master's degree in psychotherapy, as well as she's done postgraduate work in addictions and traumas. Over the last 14 years, she has been involved in working in this field of obesity, including stuff with bariatrics, some of you will know what I'm talking about there, weight elimination, helping people change their habits. She founded this program herself together with others that you'll see noted on the book. The book itself has been translated into Portuguese, her native language, and Spanish. And as a result, she's traveled across the States, down into South America. This is not her first time in England, nor first time in Europe, but it's her first time in Leicester. And she's here to share with us of her knowledge and experience, because her passion is to help people achieve and maintain their optimal healthy weight. We are delighted to have her here. I note on the front of the book, there's a foreword by Wayne Dysinger. I know Dysinger. Yes, it's such an unfamiliar name. So probably I know someone who's related to this. I studied with a Dysinger when I was at Newbold, so maybe there's some links here. The Adventist world is indeed a small world. But Rachel, we're delighted to have you here, and I'm going to ask you to come now and begin to share with the folks.
Good evening. It's a blessing to be here with you today and to be able to share a little bit what I have learned for the last 15 years, actually. This year's 15 years working in this field. But before I start, I want to ask your forgiveness if I say something that you don't understand. Because I realize coming to England, this is my third time here, and there are some words that are different from our English in America. So please correct me, I don't mind. But I could spend weeks here with you to share 15 years of work on this field, many things that we have learned with our patients and through studies. And like the brother said, it's just, I'm amazed and so excited to see how science now is proving things that were written more than 100 years ago. Most of the stuff, like one of the things that I was like, Lord, it's amazing how you do it. If we don't listen this way, you find other ways for us to listen. The medical field, I'm sure you're aware, a few years ago, they figured out that medication alone was not curing people. And so they opened other fields. So there's the nutrology, which is medical doctors going back to school, getting a PhD in nutrition, because most universities all over the world don't teach about nutrition in the medical field. They have maybe one semester about nutrition, that's all. So they don't know about nutrition. They know about our body, how it functions, diseases, medications, but not nutrition. And so now they're going back to school to learn, which is awesome. And the other field that it has opened in the medical field is, the other area is lifestyle medicine. And that is nothing more the 8 laws of health, or the 8 remedies, however you call it, New Start, which is in Ellen White's books about health, our lifestyle. The 8 remedies which is a New Start: nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, rest, that's what it's all about, the lifestyle medicine. They don't talk about religion or about Ellen White, but that's pretty much what they figure out just medication is not doing it. We need to start exercising. We need to eat better. We need to get more water. We need to get more rest and all these things. There's no time. I mean, 1 hour for me is like, oh, I want to share so much. So I'll do my best to summarize it. But since usually I start my seminars on Sabbath morning, because we have tried different ways, but usually during the week people don't come. Sabbath morning is when the church is most full. And for some reason, God uses that sermon of the Sabbath morning. And whoever listens to that sermon, the sermon will come back. I have done this last year, and I was shocked to see the church full day after day. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I hope to see you tomorrow also. Those that didn't come today, they're not going to know this. But since they asked me some specifics about diabetes, I have some stuff that I can share. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a dietitian. I'm a psychotherapist. So I work the brain. But I work with many doctors and dietitians, so I have learned a lot to apply in my life and to help my patients apply that. So that's what I'm going to share with you. Our program is not an Adventist program or a Christian program. We created, tomorrow I'm going to share a lot more about it, but just so you have an idea, we created this program because of the need of our patients. I had the privilege of working for a clinic in Las Vegas where I live for so many years. This corporation just in Las Vegas owns 8 casinos, more than 30,000 employees. And they found out that it was going to cost them a lot less, and it will be much better for their employees to invest in their health than in their diseases. Healthcare in the United States is very expensive. You guys are blessed here. We are not there. And so, but they figured that out, so they created this clinic for the employees. So we had a team of professionals, medical doctors, dietitians, psychotherapists, physical therapists, exercise physiologists, nurses, all working together with our employees that wanted help. Preventive help, all for free. It didn't cost them anything. They had a huge gym, I don't know if you call it gym here, where you do exercise, free, 24 hours. I mean, everything there is 24 hours open. And so we were on TV, on the radio. It was the first effort, corporate effort, to change the picture health-wise for their employees. And the employees were more productive, happier, healthier. They didn't need to be going to the doctors all the time. So it was a great effort. So we learn a lot from our patients. And one of the first things we learned that the problem with weight gaining is not in the stomach or our mouth, but is in our mind. Because that's where the control center is, you know. And conscious or not, this is what controls us. So diets don't work because of that. Exercise is great, but by itself it will not work because this needs to change. And adopt exercise for a lifetime, not just for a certain period. You know, not even the gastric surgeries, the stomach reduction surgeries will work long term. Unfortunately, studies worldwide actually show that 50% of the people that have any of the bypass surgeries will gain all their weight back in 4 to 5 years. That's very sad. I didn't believe that until I saw in my own eyes. We had patients that lost 100, 150 pounds with the surgery, and then after 4 or 5 years gained it all back. So not even that will prevent people from gaining weight. This is the one that needs to change. And so, but today we're going to talk more specifically about diabetes because unfortunately obesity is not just a problem of our looks, you know, aesthetics. It's deadly. It brings with it some serious diseases. Diabetes type 2, cancer, heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, depression, so many diseases, lethal diseases come with obesity. And so I don't know if you know, I'm sure here, I'm proud of England because you guys are much more proactive. The government is more proactive. I'm amazed when I go to the store and see they put the percentage of the ingredients. We don't have that in the United States. There's a lot of fighting going on because now they have a lot of genetic modified stuff. They didn't want to put the label there. So it's like, okay, I mean, I would like to know. I would like to have the choice. I mean, if people don't care, it's okay, but others care. So finally they voted, yes, they have to stamp it, but it's hard to believe some of the things they do, you know. And so you guys have a lot more tight system here, which is great. And to hear the government talking about plant-based diet, that's unbelievable. I mean, we had ex-president, no, not Obama, Clinton, just went blank. He had a heart attack several years ago. I don't know if you guys saw his testimony. And he talks about going on a plant-based diet because as the only way to ensure that he would not have more heart attacks. So diabetes type 2 has cure. I don't know if you know that, but it has to do with our lifestyle. I know it's much easier to take a pill than to change our lifestyle. I know that because I have done that. Most of us have. But medication, they all have side effects. You know, I'm not totally against it, but I use it as a last resource, not the first resource, you know. And so I'll share more things about it because we don't have a lot of time today, but we're in the church. We're starting the Sabbath day pretty soon. So the Bible has a lot to say about health. We're just not paying attention to it. Maybe like me, for many years, I thought that what I ate, my lifestyle had nothing to do with my religion, in the sense that what I ate didn't affect my spirituality. But I'll speak more about it tomorrow. We're made out of body, mind, and spirit, and they go together. There is no way to separate them. So everything that I do to one part affects the other. And so everything, this is a very common Bible verse that we hear it, but we don't really understand it. I only understood this verse, the meaning really, when I start working with my obese patients. There I saw literally how Satan uses food and drinks to enslave us, and we're not aware of it. Maybe you and I don't have an issue with adultery or robbing or killing people or giving false witness. But I know each one of us here has a problem in this part with our appetite. That's how sin came into the world, was through our appetite. And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. So I want us to say it every time I'm going to speak to you, beginning and end. We're going to read it together because Sunday I'm going to talk about our neural pathways, how it works in our brains, our habits. They become pathways in our nervous system, in our brain. Every time we think of something, we feel something, we do something, that pathway gets stronger and stronger and stronger until it becomes automatic. That's when our habits are created and you don't even think about it. And so I want this to become a neural pathway in your brain. So before you put anything in your mouth, you're going to say this verse. I want to encourage you to write this in a big post. Put in your refrigerator, in your cupboards, wherever there's food and drinks. So you read it before you put anything in your mouth. Because this matters to God. Let's say it together. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. What is the first verb there? Eat. Yeah. Whether you eat. So does that has anything to do with our spiritual health? It does. Drinking or whatever we do. I confess to you that until I start working in this clinic, I had never looked into my plate or my cup and asked myself, am I honoring God with this choice? Am I glorifying God? I had never asked, but that's what it's saying here. And if I had done that, I would have changed my habits way back then. Unfortunately, usually we don't value our health until we get sick. Then we value. But sometimes it's too late. There is no regressing, no making up time. You know, tomorrow I'll share more about it. I didn't take care of my health when I was youth. I was addicted to so many things. You see, we talk about addiction. We're addicted to so many things, and people get offended when I say we are addicted to so many things. I was addicted to sugar, chocolate, cheese, Coca-Cola. I mean, so many things, you know. Things that if somebody told me I couldn't eat one piece of it anymore, I think I'll have a heart attack, you know. But then the disease came, and unfortunately today, even though I have changed my lifestyle and I apply the 8 laws of health, the diseases will get to you eventually, because they don't start today. They start years ago in the form of inflammation until they become a disease. So today I'm taking care of some diseases that are incurable because I didn't take care of my health when I was young. So if you don't have any diseases, I want to encourage you to begin today to be responsible for your health. Don't make your doctor, your dietitian, your psychologist, your husband, your wife, your father, your mother, the responsible one for your health, because you are the one who is going to get sick, not them. You know, and we don't have no excuses, because today we have the information in the palm of our hands. With the smartphones, you have access to everything, even to the latest studies about anything you want to know. You go on Google and you put Google Academic, and there you have access to the best universities in the world. You just put the subject you want to know, and there it is. So there is no excuses. It's just we don't want to take time, and we think, well, the food industry, do you think they're concerned with your health and mine? That's a joke. They're concerned with their pocket. Yeah. That's why they invest millions to do the advertising, to convince you and I to purchase their products. Not our best interest in place, you know. So anyways, there, the 8 laws of health, the new start, you know, for us not to forget. But the way it works is not just if I apply 2 or 3 and do not pay attention to the others. It doesn't work that way. It's all of them. Yes, it does take time to starting to apply all of them. But you have to progress, not get stuck. Oh, I'm doing 3 of them, so I'm fine. No, it's all of them. You know, and science is learning that, which is beautiful. I just praise God every day to see how science is learning so much. But I want to share with you something that I'm sure you heard when you were a kid. And it passed it on from generation to generation. I don't know how many generations have been talking about this. Breakfast as a king, lunch as a prince, and dinner as a pauper. Now science has discovered why is the saying a wise tale, or whatever you want to call it. But they discovered that as human beings, we have 3 peaks of insulin every day. And what that means, I don't know if you know how insulin works. I'll summarize it for you. The job of insulin, to make it simple, is to transform what we eat into energy so we can work all day long. So when I learned this not so long ago, I was so blown away. I thought, this is so amazing how God is. He not only created our body perfect, but he also created an alarm inside of our body to tell us when to eat and how much to eat, if we listen. But we know this, since the food industry started maybe 100 years ago, the picture changed. It wasn't that way for thousands of years. People ate the same way. You know, they had the same lifestyles. And that's what science is saying. We need to go back, move back to the past, learn from our ancestors. How did they eat? What did they eat? What was their lifestyle? Think about it. There were no cars. There were no gyms for you to exercise. You were planting your own food. The hole was your gym, where you were planting your own food, walking miles. People are very active. So the problem with obesity is a mathematical problem also. We have to understand that nowadays there is an abundance of food that didn't exist before. We are inputting a lot more calories than we're burning with the lifestyle we're living. You know, very sedentary lifestyle, most people nowadays on the 21st century. And so then, yeah, where is it going to go? You're inputting a lot more than you're burning. It's going to turn into fat. And so we'll talk more about that. But this is the beauty of the science proving this old thing. They discovered that in the morning, between 6 and 8 a.m., more or less, it's not exact, but more or less, we have the biggest amount of insulin in our body. So our body is ready to transform whatever we eat into energy to work all day. So that is why it should be the biggest meal, because that's when your body is ready to do that. Then at noon, or between 12 and 2 p.m. is half of the amount of it was in the morning. Why? Well, supposedly we worked half a day already. We don't need to work another full 12 hours, you know. It's just half a day. So then your lunch should be as a prince, not as a king. And then at night, between 5 to 7 p.m. more or less, there's very little insulin, almost nothing, because supposedly we're going to sleep. You do not need energy to sleep. So you don't need to eat if you don't want to eat. But if you do eat, it has to be very little. Because what happens is, this is mind-blowing. I'm sure you heard doctors saying, don't eat anything after 6 or 7. Nothing. Because if you do, whatever you eat is going to transform into fat. Because there is no insulin to change it into energy. Wow. That makes sense. I was just blown away. This makes sense. But you know, they come up with so many. Unfortunately, the United States there's still good things happening there, but they're the bad example for the world about many things, you know. So, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, they start with this fashion of eating every 3 hours. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. And then, I have to say it, when you look at studies, you have to read not just 1 or 2 studies on the subject. If there's only 1 or 2, you have to suspect that something shady is going on there. And then go find out who paid for those studies. You have to find many studies proving the same thing, then you're going to believe it. There were a couple studies saying that you should eat every 3 hours because it will be healthier. Well, then Look, we love food. Food is our best friend. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow. Just by seeing food, we get happy without knowing. The smell of food, our body starts to produce serotonin already. So it's unbelievable. And then a doctor will come and tell me you have to eat every 3 hours. We're going to be very happy because we love food. Food is not just for our sustaining our body. It has many other meanings. It makes us happy, it comforts us, it brings us pleasure, it's for entertainment, it's for celebration. There's so many reasons we eat. It's not just for supporting our body, you know. So we're going to understand more tomorrow. But this is very important to understand how God created our body. He never wanted us to be sick. Never. The Bible is clear. The Bible says that God wants us to have life, and life in abundance. What does that mean? Go to the dictionary and you see. It's to be very healthy. He never created diseases. Satan did. And what is Satan's plan? The Bible is clear. To kill, rob, and destroy, right? That's his plan every day for you and I. Every day. Whether you're killed in an accident, in a disaster, ecological disaster, disease, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He wants us to die every day. And so which plan are we going to follow? God's plan? Satan's plan? There's a saying in the United States that's funny, but there's truth to it. It's a joke. They say that God created the fruits and the vegetables, and Satan created McDonald's. There's a lot true to it. Seriously. So now what science is saying is we should go back to the basics of our ancestors and eat natural food, not man-made food. I go beyond that and I'll say we need to eat God's food, not man-made food, because man-made food is what is creating this chaos of obesity all over the world. I want you guys to stop and think, analyze. The amount of children with obesity and diabetes is just insane all over the world. So it's not just affecting adults, young people, children, but also our pets. I don't know if you call it pets here. Dogs and cats, yeah. Have you noticed what's going on in the pet world? I could not believe. I met this veterinarian, and she was telling me about the recent diseases that they're dealing with. Obesity, heart attack, strokes, cancer. The same diseases we humans have, our animals are having. Why? The food and the lifestyle. Listen, when I was a kid, there were no dogs and cats inside of the house. They were out. They were running kilometers, miles. They didn't have the food they have today. They ate the leftovers of our food. Yeah. So now that's what they're eating. I was in Brazil just a few weeks ago. I usually spend 4 or 5 months in the South America, then 3-4 months in the U.S. and 3 months here in Europe. So I was doing a lecture in a lifestyle center. And one lady told me that in the city she lives, there is this very fancy area that couples live, and they don't have no kids. They have pets only. So now they have a restaurant for pets in this area. And this lady, she's a chef for the animals. No, I'm not kidding. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I said, so what are you cooking for them? Because studies showed that the food they're eating is loaded with chemicals and it's causing obesity and all these diseases. Processed food. So she's You know what the dogs and cats are eating there in this area? She's cooking them brown rice, lentils, chickpeas, carrots, the food we're supposed to be eating. That's what the animals are. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. This is insane. But this is what is happening. So these studies that they did for us, saying that we should eat every 3 hours, guess who funded the study? The food industry. Because they want to sell more. You know, but there's so many studies showing that it is not healthy. After a few years, they saw, yes, you can lose weight, just like a diet, a short period of time, because as you eat every 3 hours, you're going to accelerate your metabolism, so then you're going to lose weight, but you're going to gain it back. Trust me. And so, and the problem is, long term, you're going to cause serious problems in your digestive system. So please, don't believe everything you see. And when in doubt, I know nowadays it's very difficult to know which way to go. Because even within our church, you find doctors that will tell you you should eat more eggs. Others say, no, you should eat eggs. You should not eat eggs at all. Others are telling you should eat this and not that. And you're like, okay, which way should I go? There's too many ways to go. The Bible says that it's better to obey God than men. Which plan are you and I going to follow? He didn't leave us blind. He left the plan for our health. We need to read. You know, a lot of times we don't have time. Well, we have to make the time. If you want to be healthy, you're going to have to read and learn. I know, I travel the world. I know medical doctors, nutritionists, psychologists, people that work in the health field that are atheists. And they're using Ellen White's books on health to help their patients. And what are we doing? And I speak for myself. It hasn't been very long that I'm reading the books, and I'm blown away with so many things that science is saying this and that. This was written more than 100 years ago. God's instructions. So let's start reading. And you'll be amazed. Satan does not want you to read those books, because you're going to find out the truth, and God is going to open your eyes and say, okay, I need to change. God will forgive us. He's merciful. But until when? You know, the diseases will come. He forgives us, but the consequences come. And I'm a living proof that they will come. So anyways, now knowing this, there is a lifestyle center in Brazil, a huge lifestyle center that belongs to the church. Is a natural clinic. They have medical doctors, nutritionists, psychologists, all kind of specialists. Everything they do there is according to science, the latest studies, and Ellen White's books on health. So I have learned a lot of things there. So what they, based on research, Civisa is the name of this lifestyle center. And this is what they recommend. Actually, Harvard, they're not using the food pyramid anymore. They're using the plate. So what they say is half of our plate for breakfast as your biggest meal should be raw stuff, so fruits. Half of your plate should be raw fruits, because the raw material is loaded with vitamins, minerals, enzymes, antioxidants, probiotics, so much stuff. When you cook it, it doesn't have those benefits. It has some, but we need to have at least half of our plate raw. And then a quarter with protein, high in protein. Because you know what? I don't know if you know this, but science found out not too long ago that, obviously they don't say God, but that the natural foods, everything has a little bit of everything that we need. So lettuce, it has minerals, it has fat, the healthy fat, it has protein, it has sodium, it has everything Every food God made, the fruits, the vegetables, the grain, it has a little bit of everything. So when we eat a variety, we already have enough. Now there are 3 different types of foods that we need to use in moderation, though they're natural. They're the fats, natural fats, for an example. So they're the foods that are high in fat. Avocados, you call it avocados? Yeah, okay, avocados. Nuts, all the nuts. I think somebody told me you call other, so there's different kinds of nuts, right? So cashew nuts, peanuts, pecan, walnuts. So in the U.S. we call nuts all of them. Here I know you call it by name. Yeah, so they are high in fat. They're healthy, but you're not going to eat a bag at one time. It's one hand, like this much. Not more than that per day. Seeds, they're high in fat also. Olives are high in fat. Coconut is high in fat. So those we have to use with moderation. Salt, obviously, we have to use with moderation. And sweets. I'm talking about natural. I'm not even talking about sugar because the processed stuff is like, they discovered that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Let me see if I'm going to show it. I'm not going to show that seminar here. There is a picture of the brain with cocaine and with sugar. Same. There is no difference. It's unbelievable. Very, very addictive. But the sweet things, honey, maple syrup, the dried fruit, agave, the dry fruits, moderation also. Brown sugar, some people use brown sugar, moderation on that, So, but here, quarter of our plate should be high in protein. So if you're not eating meat, obviously if you're eating meat and its products is high in protein, but the beans will replace the meat and its products. They're high in protein. Quinoa is high in protein. Chia seeds is like a superfood. It's unbelievable. Go on the internet and put nutritional value, and you're going to find out so many things about it. So quarter should be protein. So I'll give you an example. My breakfast, I'll eat, let's say, usually 3 different fruits. Pear, banana, and an apple, for an example. Then I'll have either oatmeal with some raisins and some nuts, and that'll fill you. You're not going to be hungry for a while. Or I'll use millet. I don't know if you ever cook millet. It's porridge. Here you guys do a lot more porridge. So it's great. There's so many things that you can do here. You have many options. Or I'll make hummus from chickpeas, and I'll use that in bread, or I'll use that in Brazil, we use a lot of cassava, or sweet potatoes, or there's different roots that I don't know if you have it here, and I'll use it instead of bread sometimes. So this is just an idea. So to give you the basics, how to eat natural stuff. Then, I need to point it over there. Lunch. Again, half of the plate, the top of the plate, raw. There's raw, half of the plate. The quarter of it is high in protein. The lentils there, right? There you see it very clearly. And the other quarter, complex carbohydrates, sweet potatoes. That's a complete meal. Your body doesn't need more than that. It's amazing. But if you still eat meat, then you could use it where the lentils are. But one thing, tomorrow I'm going to talk more about it. I keep remembering things that I don't want to forget because I need to share with you things that we learned. And then dinner, if you're going to have dinner, not later than 7 p.m. Because whatever you eat will turn into fat. And in my country of origin, usually they eat dinner around 10 or 11 p.m., the biggest meal. And then they don't know why the obesity is going crazy there. It's turning into fat, whatever you eat. Drink water or tea. So it's either or, and no food rich in protein or fat, because they take a lot longer to digest. Okay, so if you're going to eat, you can eat. And no sweet fruits either. It's good to remember that because they're high in glucose. So you don't need that to go to sleep. So you use the citric foods. If your dinner is going to be fruits, use citric foods like it is over there. Or a salad or a vegetable soup or broth if you're gonna have dinner. A light dinner. Because remember, you don't have almost any insulin to process that. So it's going to turn into fat. Now, the funny thing is, when I went, once a year I go and I spend 1 or 2 weeks in this lifestyle center doing my lectures. The first time I went, I had to do so much to be ready to go and spend 2 weeks there. So I didn't have time to eat lunch. But I had eaten there before, and the food is amazing. And I thought, it's all plant-based, organic stuff that they plant. It's just unbelievable, delicious. And I thought, that's okay, because I'm going to eat a banquet when I get there for the evening, 5 p.m. So, dinner time, we go there to eat. And I noticed that there was a table with fruits, a table with salad, and a table with soups. And I thought immediately, okay, I'm going to eat the fruit first, then the salad, then the soup. So I went and grabbed my plate of fruits, ate it, then I went back to get salad. And the lady said, no, it's one or the other. I said, but I didn't eat enough. He said, I'm sorry, tomorrow. So I went to bed hungry. I wasn't prepared for that. But that taught me a lesson. It really was very helpful. It's not easy to change. So I'm going to give you a clue here. We need to ask God for help. Because it will not work long term if you don't fall on your knees. A lot of times we try to change, and especially when we hear seminars about health, we get encouraged and inspired, and we're going to change this and that, and we make plans. But you know, we have neural pathways in our brain, in our nervous system, that are with us for 20, 30, 50 years. Our will is not strong enough. And on top of it, we're fighting an enemy that is 24/7 working to destroy us. So we really need to fall on our knees and ask God for help, or the changes will not last long term. And we'll talk more about that. So now we're coming to the diabetes. I don't know, anybody here has diabetes type 2? Okay. This is very common today. People are becoming pre-diabetic, and it has a lot to do with what we're eating and drinking and our lifestyle. Most of it has to do with that. Yes, some people is a medical history, their parents, but you know, science has proven in the past, several years ago, they thought that the DNA, it was unchangeable. Now they learn and they study that our DNA can be changed by our lifestyle changes. So it doesn't matter what medical history you have. By God's grace, you can change that. And it's never too late. So here are just some of the symptoms. So many people are pre-diabetic and they don't know it. Because of, you know, if you're eating the foods of the 21st century, drinking the drinks of the 21st century, and living the lifestyle of the 21st century, pretty soon you're going to have diabetes. That's the truth. Because the processed foods, they have no nutrition. They have calories that turn into fat. You know, and we'll talk more about that, but tomorrow. So always tired, frequent urination, sudden weight loss, wounds that won't heal, sexual problems, always hungry, blurry vision, numb or tingling hands or feet, always thirsty, vaginal infections. These are some of the symptoms to tell you, hey, it's coming down the pipe. It was rare to hear people with diabetes type 2 20, 30 years ago. Now even kids. There's so many kids with diabetes type 2. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry. That has to do with how the parents are feeding the kids and leaving them. Kids, you don't see kids running the streets. Or when I was a kid, oh my gosh, we come back home from school. We'll be out all afternoon playing, climbing trees, chasing dogs, doing all kinds of things. Kids now sit most of the time watching TV or with the phone or the computer. They're not interested in being active. Even our pets are not interested no more. Like I said, what do dogs do? They sit, watch TV all day long because their owner is working and they're inside of the house. That's crazy. But that's how it is. We need to understand that. So causes of insulin resistance. There's many causes. In the past, they used to think that too much sugar was causing diabetes. Well, now they figure out that fat is the number one cause. Fat. Because sugar turns into fat. And if you read the ingredients of processed foods, everything has fat in it. So we're having an abundance of fat. Because even if we're eating the natural things combined with processed things, they already have the natural fat. We don't need the extra fat. We're having overdose of fat. And so we need to stop and understand this. So diet-rich in fat, meats are high in fat. Fried and fat foods and processed oils, processed foods, they're loaded with fat, So that's what causes diabetes, insulin resistance. B, diet rich in empty calories, simple carbs. Everything that is processed is simple carbs, okay? They took the good part out of it. And so there's only calories in it. So processed foods, drinks, especially sweets. But here you call it different. Candies? Well, candies there's hard candies and different, but sweets in general, desserts and candies is sweets. Do you call sweets candies and desserts too? Okay. Cakes and that's treats. Okay, so it's a little different. But there it is. You know what it is. I don't need to tell you. There's no benefit whatsoever. It's actually damaging to our body, but it's so good and so hard. So good to our palate, really, but not to our health. And it's very destructive and it's so addictive. I was addicted for so many years. I'm paying high price for it. Here it is. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. There's a normal brain there. There's cocaine and there's sugar. You see it right there. It's unbelievable. That's why. In Brazil, they eat a lot of sweet things, desserts, all the time. Every meal you gotta have a dessert. And so in the U.S., they eat a lot of fats. In Brazil, they eat a lot of sweet things. It turns into fat. So it's not different. Not different. Sedentary lifestyle. Those are the three major causes of diabetes type 2. So fat, processed stuff, and sedentary life. That's what it is. So, I'm sorry, you guys. This I'm going to talk just a little today. I'll explain more tomorrow. Trophy phenomenon. I don't know if you heard about that. But I'll repeat tomorrow because they need to know this. Working in this clinic, I found out this is this phenomena, they gave it a name in 2015 when they launched the documentary Fat Up. I don't know if you watched that. It's really good. And basically what they found out is that you could be skinny but fat inside. And that was me for probably 30 years of my life. Toffee, thin outside, fat inside. Yeah. I had no idea about that. In the U.S., I couldn't find the statistics here. Maybe because it's a new diagnosis here. I don't know what you call it. Skinny fat? I don't know what you call it here. Yeah, but it happens everywhere. I assure you it's here too. 35% of the population in the United States is obese. 45% is toffee. In Brazil, I couldn't find the statistics either, but I guarantee you at least 70% of the population is toffee because they eat a lot of sweet things, you know. And so in the picture, there's two different men, okay? The one on the right is healthy, is not toffee, but the one in the left is toffee. Can you see the fat? They're same height, same age, same weight. You can see the difference inside. The light parts are not just bones, they're fat. It's fat in his liver, even fat in his feet. Do you see it? But the weight is the same. So weight nowadays doesn't mean much. You need to know what's happening inside. So I know here they do annual checkups and they have the scale, the BMI, and so they figure out with that scale what's going on inside. So when I started working for this clinic, 2004, nobody ever heard this. But they had this amazing scale that you step on it and it could read everything that is happening in your body. And so it gave your weight, the amount of water you had inside, the amount of muscle, the amount of fat, all kinds of things. They have much simpler scale now. You can even buy one to know your body fat, you know. So until the day I weigh myself in that scale, I thought a skinny person was a healthy person. That's what I thought because I've been skinny all my life. I can eat an elephant and it doesn't make a difference in my weight. And I never got sick, but I was young, you know. So I thought I was the healthiest person on the earth. So I stepped on the scale just to show my colleagues how healthy I was. And I was the one surprised, not them. Because when the printout came out, I didn't understand. So one of my colleagues' doctor explained to me what it meant, all the numbers. And when we got to the fat, she was shocked. She said, Rachel, I can't believe this. She said, the amount of fat you have in your body is almost of an obese person. What that means is that the same diseases our obese patients have, you're going to have and very soon. I thought she was joking. I said, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Look at my body and tell me, where do I have fat? She said, you have fat around your organs. You have fat around your cells. So then you become insulin resistant. Insulin cannot go in the cells to transform the food into energy. You have fat in your liver, and you have fat in your blood veins. All that shocked me. That knocked my socks off. I had to change because I didn't want to have a heart attack. I didn't want to have diabetes. I didn't want to have all these diseases that my patients had. So I started changing. But like I said, unfortunately, 2.5 years ago, diseases knock on my door because I abused this machine. And it'll break eventually, you know. And so now I'm spending all the money I have, all the time, to recover my health. But there is no guarantees. You know, there is no guarantees. It's today that we need to start taking care of our health. It is one of the most important things we have, a gift from God. You know, so toffee is very important to understand because you may think, oh, but I don't have a weight problem. So what? You don't know how it is inside. And so let's not judge nobody. You know, a lot of times we see a heavy person, an obese person, and say, oh, that person is eating all the time or eating all junk food or whatever. You don't know. There's many causes for diabetes, and we'll talk more about that, for obesity. And but you could be almost the same as them. I was, and I had no idea. No idea. How does that happen? The visceral fat is the killer because it restricts our organs, our cells. You know, if we're having an over... So think about it. Use your reasoning. And you're going to get to the solution very quickly. Okay, if we have overdose of fat inside of us, what should we do? Quit the fat. Stop it for a while, and you'll be amazed. But the problem is we're so addicted to fat, we have no idea. When I discovered my diseases and there's no cure for it, and they told me you have to take cortisone for the rest of your life, I said, I'm not going there. I work in hospitals. I've seen what cortisone does long term. It'll kill you before the disease. So I went to see a natural doctor. The treatment is much longer. But that's one of the first things he told me. You're going to cut all the fat out. All of it, even the good fat, because your body has an overdose of fat. You don't need to be putting more fat in. It's already to the top. Yeah? So for a while, I didn't even eat avocado, nuts, seeds, all the fat, no olive oil, no nothing. We're addicted to fat. Try and eat something. I don't know if you eat rice. And those from the islands and from Africa too, and South America, we saute the garlic and the onions to make your rice or beans or whatever, you know. Try to do it with no oil. And you see, in the beginning it's like, bland. We're addicted to it. But it is possible. You know, one friend told me, even fried cockroaches probably taste good because fat makes everything taste delicious. But we can't continue like that. We can't. The disease, fat is the main cause of most diseases because it restricts our organs, our cells. Our liver is loaded with it. Do you know that we can have cirrhosis of the liver without ever drinking one drop of alcohol? Just with fat. And then fat in your veins, what is going to happen? Blockage, heart attacks, stroke, all kinds of things. But we think, oh, it's not going to happen to me. It happens to other people, not me. No. Yes, fatty liver. And most people nowadays have fatty liver. I had a fatty liver. I've been skinny all my life. That doesn't mean anything. So now, we'll talk more about it tomorrow. How to change the picture. And how's the time? Are we done with the time? Or do we have a few more minutes? Okay. How to change the picture. Eat foods that are rich in fiber. And what foods are rich in fiber? Do you know? Vegetables, fruits, grains. The foods God made, not the foods man made. There is no fiber there. Okay? Meats, they don't, and I'm not here to tell you what to eat. That's not my job. I'm not a dietitian. I'm here to tell you we need to wake up and prevent disease and stop. We're in this fast train that is going too fast and it's not stopping. You need to jump out of it. So foods that are rich in fiber. Meat and its products, no fiber, is high in fat and cholesterol. Eat more raw foods and grains. They're loaded with all the benefits we need. The father of medicine, how many thousands years ago he wrote, Hippocrates, let the food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. And that's why God created. You know, so many foods that are medicine for us. Not just to support us. See, eliminate processed food and drinks. They're causing all havoc in our body. Drastically minimize the consumption of sugar, sweets, and fats. Drastically. If you can eliminate, and stay with God's foods, because they have already all that we need. So, like I said, we'll talk more details tomorrow. It's okay if you guys want to take pictures. Stay physically active. Okay, there you go. Now, how many people here have to go to a tall building, 7th to 8th level, and you take the stairs? How many? Yeah, you take the lift. So sweep your house. Don't put under the carpet, Every day is some form of exercise. We need to be more active, for the sake of comfort. Our body is suffering. Our health is suffering. Because if it was possible, we would like to park our car right at the door, wherever we go. Come right in, go, get in the car and go. We spend so many hours sitting down. Most of our time is sitting down or sleeping. And then we don't want to be toffee or obese or whatever, I have all these kinds of... Wash your car instead of taking it to the car wash. I've seen a lot of people here, and I'm so excited to see that you guys do allotment. So you plant. People have this custom here, which is awesome. Gardening is a great exercise. So there's many things that we can do. Go for walks. We need to. You're talking on the phone. You don't need to be sitting down. Use the phone and walk around the house. It's funny. I watched a video the other day. This old lady. She's 104 years old. She lives in a ranch out in the country, and she still plants her food, and she still takes care of her chickens and washes and cleans and cooks. And somebody asked her, how? What is the secret? She said, I learned with the flies. They never stop. They're always flying. They're busy all the time. And she's busy all the time. And I bet you that's why she's alive until 104. She's amazing. So be active. Pray for help. It's hard to change. And in our brain is connected to pain. Exercise is connected to pain. So unconsciously, we don't want to do it because in the beginning, it hurts if you exercise too much, But little by little, you keep going. It's one of the 8 remedies of God, one of the 8 natural laws of health. So some of the recommendations our program has. We have created this to help our patients. So like I said, this is not just a book. It's a combination of book and workbook. It's a psychological treatment. There are 12 chapters. 10 is about the mind. 1 is about nutrition in general, and 1 is about hormones. You need to understand how they play a part in our health. So the way we have seen this program work the best is when each one has to have their own, because this is like a diary. You're going to write your thoughts and feelings and behaviors here. You're going to learn a lot about yourself. And so loaded with exercise that you're going to write it down. 1 chapter per week. And then once a week, so you're going to digest what you're reading and writing. And 2-3 pages per day. And then once a week, you're going to come together. I hope the church here does it too, because several of the churches last year started a small group, 1 or 2 small groups in the church for whoever had the material. And they come together to discuss what they have learned and how difficult it was or how easy it was. Pray together. We need to support each other. We can't do this alone. You know, two things that are very difficult to change is to eliminate weight by ourselves and to change our eating habits. It's very hard because you're not just fighting yourself. You're fighting 30, 50 years of behavior, eating behaviors, you know. And so we need God's help and we need the support of each other. Even Jesus, the Bible says, two is better than one. Jesus was not by himself here. He had his disciples. So the group is very important. So anyways, we created this stop sign to help people become conscious before they put anything in our mouth. Because Sunday, I hope you don't miss this Sunday lecture, because I'm going to talk about how the neural pathways are created in our brain and how can we destroy them and create new ones. It's awesome. And so most of people in 2008, scientists were saying that because of the advancement in technology, we were 70% of the time on autopilot, doing things automatically without thinking. And only 30% of the time conscious. To me, that was huge already, 30% of the time conscious. The conscious is where our decisions are made. God gave us the conscious. It's a filter where we choose right, wrong, good, bad, healthy, not healthy. But if we're not using it and on an autopilot, we're going to eat whatever, do whatever, not pay attention to what we're doing. And so 2016, that killed me. Science is saying that more than 90% of the time we're on autopilot and less than 10% conscious. So we're just doing things repetitive without thinking, because that's how you create neural pathways. Repetition of behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. Then you don't even think. It's automatic. So we're eating automatically. And there's no way to make good choices, healthy choices, if you're not awake, if your conscious is not awake. So we created this stop sign and put it on the last page here. So you can take pictures, make copies, put it on your refrigerator door, on your cupboards, wherever there's food or drinks, whatever to eat. And before you put anything in your mouth, start asking questions, because then your conscience is on when you're going to answer this question. Am I physically hungry? Tomorrow we're going to explain. First chapter of our program is understanding hunger. There's a major difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. Tomorrow we're going to talk about that. Does this action helps me reach or maintain a healthy weight? Is this food or drink worth the risk of not reaching my goal? And what feelings are driving this behavior? This helps tremendously. So we're going to, what did I do is here. This is one of the things we recommend, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. Be patient. It took time for you to gain weight, fat, or to create a habit. It's going to take time to eliminate it. Start changing one or two things at a time, beginning with the easiest one, and continue with persistency. You know, when you come on a health seminar, you get so encouraged and you want to change this and that and the other. You usually want to start with the hardest one. And then you fail because it's too hard. So start with the easy one, because then once you conquer that one, you go to the next one and the next one and the next one. Slowly but surely continuing. And we've seen best results. So the challenge I have for you today is for us to learn to eat to live and not live to eat. If you are eating all day long, snacking all day long, did you know that snacking is the number one cause for people to gain weight? I'm not even talking about obesity. That's the number one cause. Because usually snacks are not very healthy. Have you noticed that whenever we desire to eat something, it's something that is not very healthy? Because it's not physical hunger, it's emotional hunger. We're trying to feed our feelings. When we feel sad, we eat. When we're tired, we eat. When we're bored, we eat. When we're anxious, so many reasons. Even when we're happy, we eat, you know. So then how we're going to do this? On our knees. We need help. We need to understand how much help we need. Food is a huge part of our subconscious. We're just not aware of it. We're going to learn more tomorrow. So, this is, and as we near the close of time, Satan's temptation to indulge appetite will be more powerful and more difficult to overcome. Seems like she wrote this yesterday. It is only through obedience and continued effort that we shall overcome as Christ overcame. That's it. I don't know what happened there. That testimonies for the church. Yeah, volume 3. I'll have to fix that. Please start reading. There's 5 books that she wrote. There's more things, but specific on health. It's Ministry of Healing, counsels on diet and foods, counsels on health, temperance, and medical ministry. It repeats a lot. I remember when I started reading as a teenager, and I didn't like it because it repeated a lot. Now, when I went to college to become a psychotherapist, I learned how neural pathways are formed. Repetition. God knew how he created our brain. So the more is repeated, the more ingrained is there. So then hopefully it become automatic behavior. So read repeatedly, because then the neural pathway will get stronger and stronger. It'll be easier to do it. So to have victory over any addiction, whether it's sugar, fat, drinks, it doesn't matter what it is. We need to be on our knees. There is no other way. We need God's help. We need God's help. I'll let you take the picture. What is more important to you? Your health or your desires? Don't tell me. Because I know what you're going to say, what I used to say. My health. And that's the biggest lie we ever told ourselves. It is not our health. Because if it was our health, we would not have eaten the things we ate and the things we drank. We wouldn't. I tell you the truth now. For so many years, who controlled my mouth? It was not my mind. It was my appetite. It was my desire. Not my health. Now I'm paying dearly for that. And so many of us are already. But don't get discouraged. God is merciful and grateful. It is never too late to start. You know, and the pleasure we get and the contentment we get when we eat the foods God created to be not only to support us, to give us health, but to cure us. It is an indescribable feeling. You feel as an obedient child. And the major benefit is ours, is not his. It's ours. He doesn't want us to be sick. It was never his plan. He wants us to be healthy. But we cannot be oblivious to it. Say, oh, I can eat this and that. And it's crazy when we tell ourselves, I cannot eat this more. Our subconscious go nuts. And the things we say we're not going to eat it, those are the ones we're going to eat the most. It's insane. I see people all the time, our patients, when they were getting ready to have the surgery, they had to lose at least 10% of their weight to get surgery. The last week was insane. They would gain weight. And we call it the Last Supper syndrome, because they knew they couldn't continue to eat the things they eat. So that we had one patient that gained 12 pounds in 1 week. He was going every day on a different buffet, because in his mind, I can never eat this no more. Well, our doctor said, look, if you gain 1 pound since the last weigh-in, which is, I think, 2 weeks before surgery, I will not do surgery. I will not do surgery. Because of this, our mind goes insane. You know, addicted to chocolate. I'm going to share tomorrow. The days I would tell myself, I'm not going to eat chocolate today, those are the days I would eat the most chocolate. It's like you have an enemy inside of you. We are our worst enemy. Satan is not our worst enemy. We are. You know? And to change this picture, we need to be on our knees. There is no other way. So don't lie to yourself, you know. For too long, what was more important to me was my desire, not my health. Now it is my health. So I finish with the same verse that we started. Let's say it together. So whether we eat or drink or whatever we do it all for the glory of God. I want to encourage you to start today. Before you put anything in your mouth, start asking questions. What is this food going to do to my body? Is it going to bring me health or diseases? Because those are the two options. There is no third option. But more important than that, am I honoring God with my choice? That's pretty deep and strong and powerful. If we think that way, this body is not ours, it's His. The Bible says that. So we need help. Ask God every day to overcome the appetite. Sister White says, and I believe that because I'm specializing in addictions, I believe food addiction is the worst of them all. You know, you can live without alcohol, without chocolate, without drugs. You can. But to have victory over an addiction, you have to abandon the addiction. Cigarettes, whatever it is, you cannot continue using and have victory. Well, food is a different animal. You can't live without eating. So how are you going to continue to use it but have victory? On your knees. Sister White says that all the other addictions are derived from food. So what I have learned working in the field of addiction is the father of addictions is sin. Put your hands up. Who has not sinned yesterday? Just yesterday. Pastor, can you help us? Nobody? How come? Aren't you a Christian? Aren't you praying every day? Why do you continue to sin? It's a repeated behavior that causes us harm. You see more in details tomorrow. That's a simple definition of addiction. So it could be anything. Sin is the worst of them all. Sin is the father of addiction. But the mother of addictions is food. So we try to brush it off and think, oh, I can do this. No, you cannot. There's so many examples in the Bible of people that were overcome by food addiction, by their appetite. There's only 2 stories in the Bible of people that have victory. Daniel and his companions and Jesus. And what was the first temptation of Jesus? Wasn't it food? Yeah. So do you think that point is important? Yeah. Sister White says that Jesus had to fast for 40 days to have victory over appetite, to overcome or Adam fail. Sin came into this world because of the appetite. And so we need to open our eyes and understand this. It's much bigger than you and I. Is the good and evil fight constantly. And this is a huge one. So let's not blind our eyes and think, oh, everything's okay. No, it's not. Behind it all is Satan trying to destroy us. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Our menu is going to be available. I don't know if you came prepared today, but then Sunday, tomorrow is not going to be available because sundown is like 8:30, right, Pastor? 8:44, so tomorrow we're going to have the biggest lecture is in the afternoon. It's like an hour and a half, but the sundown is too late. So Sunday, either today or Sunday, we're going to have the menu available for you guys to acquire if you so desire. It costs, some people say, well, it's a little expensive, 50 pounds. It is not a book, like I said, it's a treatment. You're going to take 3 months to complete the program, 1 chapter a week. So it took a long time, a lot of studies, a lot of money to put this together. If you think it's too expensive, tell me, how much is your health worth it? We go out for pizza and a dinner. How much do we spend one time? One session I found out here, one session with a psychologist or a psychotherapist here in England, it costs between 80 and 200 pounds if you're going to pay privately. There's at least 30 sessions here. So it's an investment in your health. But more important than that, this is a great program. Loma Linda University did a study with our program, and the results were amazing. But it's not worth anything without falling on your knees and asking for help. Yes, this will help you with God's help. So God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath. I hope to see you all tomorrow, and we're going to spend the day together, and then Sunday morning too. God bless you. Let's pray. Let's stand. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time we had together. Thank you for this Sabbath day that you have given us to bless us, to give us rest and so many blessings. Father, we ask you please to forgive us as we have failed tremendously in this area of appetite. But you know our enemy and how dirty he plays to control us, Lord. We have no strength against him. We try to fight him alone and we have no strength and we give up. But we know that we do. We can have victory. You have promised that you would never leave us, you would never forsake us. So we humbly come to you to ask you to forgive us and help us to remember every day to surrender ourselves to you so you can give us victory in this area of appetite that is so important. Open our eyes, Lord, and our hearts to understand your message of health and not be just hearers but doers of your will. Thank you for listening and for always being there for us. Help us to have a good night of rest and to honor you on the Sabbath day, Lord. Help us to honor you also with what we eat and drink also. We thank you for everything, and we ask these things not because we deserve anything, but in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Have a blessed night.
So thank you for being here. I hope to see you all tomorrow. Rachel's not rushing off, so if you've got a few questions that you can ask her before we take her to rest, that's okay. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. I don't want to get myself into trouble, but if I know that one of the things that she's expressed is if we can create a small group out of this, I think there's a way we might be able to help. Okay? You know that one of the things we're trying to do this year is to create small groups that function. This is certainly one that I could see working well and particularly be used in an evangelistic manner. If we can do that over the next weekend and kind of start to create that, I am sure that there are budgets within the church that will help to support what we're trying to do.
So this is exactly what many churches are doing. The church members are doing the program, and then the church is buying the program to bring people from the outside, because the health message is what is going to bring people. You know, so you're not going to be preaching, This is not an Adventist. You're not going to find any Bible verses, any Ellen White quotes. Put our message in there. You know, so you can, people are dying without knowledge. They're seeking knowledge. So this is a very good program to use it as evangelistic, to bring people in. And then whoever will be the directors of the group, I'll send a facilitator's guide to help you guys, and you have my WhatsApp to help if you have any questions. There's no need to be a professional. The teacher is this. You know, each person has their own, but they come together and share. Just like the AA support meetings, one helping the other. One addicted, helping the other.
Okay, thank you.